I'm Deplorable Bobby, and this is the way I see it. I wasn't going to go live today. As a matter of fact, I did a video, about 30-minute video, and after it played around with Power Director for about 3 hours, I forgot to disable my phone, and I got a phone call, and it erased the entire video. So I'm going to be here doing this live stream. I don't know if anybody's going to come in. I don't even know if the notifications went out. But I'm going to do this video just like I would do any other. So I'm going to get started with thanking my subscribers and my viewers. I want to thank Dangerous Freedom for his kind PayPal donations. My PayPal link will be somewhere in the link below or in this video if I get a mod in here. Like I said, I'm not really expecting to get many people, but I've already done this research and I'm going to go ahead and get it out there, and maybe it'll be something that you'll catch on the replay that you haven't heard yet, if I can get rid of this sweat bee that's swarming around me here. We'll talk a little bit about, well, I guess I look different. Start off with that. I lost about 3 inches of beard, so I got to start all over again. That's the way it always is. I can never trim it. I get to trimming on it, and it's so wiry and unruly, it just looks terrible. So I just take it down to almost nothing and let it come on back again. But I'm going to talk a little bit about R. Kelly. R. Kelly is an R&B singer. Hello, DM. That's all right. I'm glad you popped in for a second. Hello, Margot. How are you doing? I was just saying I don't expect too many people to pop in here. I really wasn't planning on doing a live stream today. I did a video on Power Director, and after 3 hours of uploading and all this other stuff, I got a phone call. I forgot to disable my phone, and I lost the entire video. So I'm just going to do probably a 30-minute live stream. Pete the Patriot, I'm glad to see you here. So we do have a few people coming in here. But I want to start off today talking about R. Kelly. I got to get to the first paper first. R. Kelly was locked up last month in Chicago federal jail after he was charged in separate federal indictments in Illinois and New York with multiple sex crimes, including child porn, sex trafficking, and racketeering, and crossing state lines for sex with children. Glad to see you, Fred. Glad to see you in here, Fred Knott, Pete the Patriot, Margot, DM. It's great to see y'all. Like I said, I wasn't expecting anybody here, so I'm blessed. Thank y'all for being here. I want to tell you a little bit more about this R. Kelly deal. A grand jury returned a 5-count indictment on Kelly. The DA for the Eastern District of Illinois detailed the charges in a letter to federal judge seeking pre-trial detention of Kelly pending his extradition to New York on the grounds that he is a flight risk and a danger to the community. People, I know you've probably heard of R. Kelly. Hello, Philip Turner. I'm glad you're here. I'd heard of him over the years. I didn't know anything about him. I thought he was a rapper. Come to find out, he does rhythm and blues. But anyway, he's 52 years old, and New York authorities alerted the authorities in Chicago that Kelly needed to be locked up until he is taken into New York to face a new set of charges. Added to the 5-count sex crime charges in Illinois, he is facing state and federal charges in New York as well. New York's charges against Kelly accuse him of running a racketeering enterprise with managers, bodyguards, drivers, personal assistants, and runners in his entourage who recruited girls to engage in illegal sex activities with Kelly, including transporting them throughout the United States for purposes of sex. For the last 20 years, we've been hearing about this guy and his perversions for children, but nothing's ever come out. Finally, maybe he's going to get his just due. But what about his victims? What about his victims? Kelly's sexual encounters were most often filmed and photographed by Kelly or either one of his entourage, including explicit sexual photos of minors, which consisted of, that's child porn right there. The DA issued a press release on Kelly's charges of racketeering, predicated on criminal conduct including sexual exploitation of children, kidnapping, forced labor, and Mann Act violations involving the coercion and transportation of girls in interstate commerce to engage in legal sexual activities with R. Kelly. Kelly is also charged with 4 counts of violating the Mann Act relating to interstate transportation of his illegal victims to New York, and his exposure of an infectious venereal disease to 3 victims without telling them. So now you've got R. Kelly been running crazy around here for the last 30 years molesting children. And now he's molesting children and he's passing on STDs. Man, I'm going to tell you, this guy needs to be in jail. It looks like between Illinois and New York, he's probably going to spend the rest of his life in jail. I don't think he can sing loud enough to reduce a life sentence. Philip Turner says, we call them criminalized down south. Yeah, you're right, brother. I hope he's not in New York jail. He'll never see trial. You're probably right, Pete. He'll probably be, well, it depends on who he knows. If he knows the Clintons, yeah, he may well not come out alive. So let's hope wherever he's at, he doesn't know much about the Clintons. Let's see. Yeah, they're finally catching up to that predator, and it's way past time. This stuff has been going on forever and ever. But finally, they have him now, and he's been legally charged by a grand jury, so he will go to trial. I mentioned earlier before anybody got in here, I wanted to thank Dangerous Freedom for his kind PayPal donation. He was very generous, and I really appreciate it, Ron, if you catch this on the replay. I know you're at work right now. Of course, like I said, tonight I'm not going to be doing a live stream. I'll be going to school with Nugget, so I appreciate y'all being here in the middle of the day. Got a little bit to talk about on politics. Yesterday, President Trump suggested Jewish Americans who vote for Democrats either lack the requisite knowledge or show great disloyalty amid the escalation of the war with words between Representative Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar over their views on Israel. From the Oval Office, President Trump spoke about his feud with these 2 Muslim terrorist congresswomen. The president accused the 2 of being anti-Semitic and argued that they hate Israel and all Jewish people. And I believe that. I believe that with all my heart. I've listened to their rhetoric. President Trump said Omar is a disaster for Jewish people. What Omar has said and what Tlaib has said about Israel proves that they hate Israel. Tell me, people, where has the Democratic Party gone? Used to, even if we disagreed, we could still get some stuff done. Hello, Sam Tampa. Glad you're here, brother. I've been checking out your videos, man. I appreciate it. They're good. Let's see, get back to where I was at. Why are the Democrats defending these 2 people who have gone against, they've went against Pelosi, they've went against all of the other Democrats on all kinds of issues, including funding for humanitarian needs at the border. So now, all of a sudden, those old school Democrats are flocking to these 2. And even one of the Jewish Democrats are praising these women, even though they denounce Israel. It makes no sense what's going on in our Congress these days. But the Democrats called out Trump for his use of the word disloyalty. And I can't think of a better word about these 2 women. They are disloyal. They're disloyal to the United States, and they're disloyal to our allies. They are disloyal. And if the truth hurts, well, sometimes you need to hear it. Omar said that Trump's Muslim ban is what Israel is implementing at this time against two elected, and she's always saying this, two duly elected members of Congress. Now, she was duly elected, all right. She was duly elected by a whole bunch of old bummers, Muslims that he brought in by the hundreds of thousands. That's how she got elected. Let's pray she gets defeated the next go-round. But you know, people, we've got a bigger problem than that. And that is the homeless across America. I'll tell you, it's crazy, the stuff that's going on in some of these larger cities. I thank God I live in a small town. Every now and then you might see a single person sleeping under a bridge somewhere, but that's usually somebody that's in transit and they're just trying to get them a nap before they hitchhike more. But across America in cities like Seattle, San Francisco, LA, and Portland, they're having a homeless crisis, and it's getting worse all the time. These cities and others are experiencing lack of safety. I mean, there is no safety in the streets of places like LA. And the sanitation is non-existent. There's feces and human waste all in the streets. And civility. There is no civility. There's fights all the time. There's always fights, robberies, rapes, you name it. And it's all among this homeless population. I understand that some people are down on their luck and they get homeless for a little while. They might have to live out of their car for a little while. I can understand that possibly. But for somebody to actually live on the sidewalks day after day, month after month, and year after year, panhandling, something just is not right. In LA, for instance, the smell of liquor and human waste is nearly unbearable. There's row and row of dirty tarp tents littering the sidewalk, piles of rotten garbage, broken appliances, and human waste everywhere. Half of them are half dressed, the other half is drugged out shells of a human being, and they're wandering around in the streets, cussing at cars because some people in that car didn't decide to stop and give them some money. So now they're out there in the streets cussing cars like they're lunatics because they didn't get any money. People, this is what happens in the streets of LA. And this disaster has a name, and it's called Skid Row in LA. Failed liberal policies and decades of neglect and city mismanagement have turned an old problem into a nightmare. Some fear the city is past the point of no return. That homeless advocates accuse those in charge of using the crisis to further their own political gains and aspirations. And that's probably true too, because there's billions of dollars that pour into LA every year. Shonda, glad you're here. Jeff Brandau, glad to see you here, brother. It's always good to see my friends come in here. But you know, most of the homeless in the whole country live in California. I mean, they're everywhere, don't get me wrong. But California houses most of them in places like San Francisco and San Diego and LA, all across California. Most of the homeless in the LA County are 60,000 homeless in LA County. That's a lot of people in one county homeless. And then in LA City proper, there's 36,000 homeless in the city of LA. And this is all on Skid Row. So can you imagine? Block after block after block after block after block on both sides of the streets. There are no sidewalks anymore. It's tents and tarps and boxes where people are just homesteading the sidewalks. And then they use the bathroom in the gutters and in the streets. My goodness, people. President Trump said that California is a disgrace to our country, and it's a shame. The world is looking at it, looking at LA with the tents and the horrible, horrible, disgusting conditions. And that's according to our president. And I have to agree with him. It's horrible. Uh, instead of the billions of dollars that pour into California every year for the homeless, federal funds, it's lining the pockets. Everybody knows it's lining the pockets of politicians. I'm glad all y'all are hanging around. Ray Clark, I see you're in here now. Sam Tappa, I'm glad to still see you, son. Philip Turner, Pete the Patriot, always good to see you. Fred Knott, Shonda Graphics. DM was in here, but she was at work. Maybe she couldn't stay too long. But I'm going to talk about something that's probably going to tick a lot of y'all off before I get through with it. I hope it don't, because I'm just speaking the truth. And sometimes the truth is hard to listen to. And sometimes it's hard to talk about. But last weekend, Portland once again became the battleground for Antifa punks and thugs. Antifa has proven again just how vicious and demented they really are. President Trump, I'm going to tell you, brother, it's past time that you do something about Antifa. Like designating Antifa for what they are, a domestic terrorist group. You know, our First Amendment protects free speech rights for all Americans, but as a nation, we cannot continue to allow the violence and the intimidation by Antifa to disrupt, destroy, and burn and break down doors and windows of communities across America. We can't allow them to be vandals and use their violence against our citizens. You know, there was over 1,000 cops that were on hand to combat that deal in Portland last week, but still it wasn't enough, because it never is enough when you're dealing with Antifa. Our patriots, I watched that thing for 6 hours, and I was anticipating some trouble. But I was watching Pete Santilli, so I was watching his feed, so I saw pretty much all the patriots. And what little bit I did see of Antifa, we didn't get to see them hurting 6 people who happened to get caught in the crossfire. In just a few hours, 13 were arrested and 6 people were injured by Antifa punks. But despite this fact, Mayor Wheeler of Portland said that the project, get this, people, we got prisoners coming down the road, so I'm probably going to have to cut this short. They're coming down through here on their mowers, and I guess I just picked a bad time, because I don't think you'll be able to hear me over this. So I guess I'll get out of here after just a few minutes. It's probably going to take them a half hour to get past my house, and I'm sure you can hear them now. So I'm going to sign off. I'm Deplorable Bobby. Calm it down for just a minute. Pray for each other. Pray for me. Pray for our children, the exploited and the trafficked and the abused, the sexually abused. Pray for all. Pray for all patriots. Pray for our president. I'm Deplorable Bobby. I'll get out of here. I'll talk to you later.